Imagine you're in the middle of a storm. The wind lashes out fiercely, the rain strikes mercilessly, and the ground beneath your feet becomes unstable. Most people in this situation panic, run aimlessly, let themselves be carried away by fear. But there are those who stand firm, with their feet firmly planted, their gaze steady, and their mind unflappable. Not because they are insensitive, but because they know something others don't. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you face each drop that falls on you. Stoicism is not a philosophical concept for boring academics. It's a life code designed for those who want to stop being victims of circumstances and start mastering their reality. It doesn't promise a life without problems, but a bulletproof mindset to face them. It's not about running away from pain, but looking it in the eye and deciding that it will not have power over you. Today, we're going to talk about 9 Stoic principles that you can apply from today to live with more focus, more control, and more resilience. These aren't motivational phrases to make you feel good for a while. They are sharp tools designed to forge an unbreakable mind. If you're here looking for comfort, this is not the place. But if you're ready to hear uncomfortable truths and discover how to toughen your character so that nothing and no one can knock you down, then get ready. Because this journey is not for those who give up easily. It's for those who are ready to sharpen their mind and take control of their life. 1. Sharpen your mind before stepping onto the battlefield. Think of yourself as a soldier and each day as a new battlefield. But instead of a steel armor, you wear your mindset. Instead of a sword, you carry your character. Now tell me, would you go out to fight with a blunt sword? With a weak mind that breaks at the first blow? Of course not, because the moment you step onto the field, chaos will crush you mercilessly. That's life, a constant war where not the physically strongest wins, but the one with the sharpest mind. Stoicism understands this better than anyone. It's not about wishing that the war doesn't happen, but preparing for it. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor in the midst of conflict, didn't wake up hoping everything would go well, but asked himself, "What difficulties await me today?" Not because he was pessimistic, but because he knew that a prepared soldier is a soldier who doesn't fall. If you don't anticipate the blows, the first obstacle will take you by surprise and knock you down before you can react. The key is to prepare your mind before life attacks you. Before leaving home, before facing the world, sharpen your mindset. Ask yourself what problems could arise, what emotions will try to control you, how you want to respond when things don't go as you expect. If you don't, you'll be reacting to life instead of mastering it. It's like a boxer who enters the ring without knowing he's going to fight. The first punch will leave him on the floor. The Stoics used a powerful tool called negative visualization. They imagined the worst possible scenario, not to obsess over misfortune, but to harden themselves against it. If you prepare for disappointment, for betrayal, for difficult times, then when they come, they won't affect you like others. They won't take you by surprise. You'll be like an iron shield in the midst of a rain of arrows. But sharpening your mind doesn't end in the morning. At the end of the day, reflect on how you acted. Ask yourself if you were the person you wanted to be, if you let your emotions control you, if you faced the day like a warrior, or if you let yourself be dragged along like a child without control. If you don't analyze your failures, you'll repeat them. If you don't improve, you'll continue to be the same weak version of yesterday. Most people wake up without direction, like leaves in the wind, dragged by any problem that crosses their path. You can't be like that. You have to be the rock that the storm doesn't move. the soldier who sharpens his mind before going to war. Life is not going to stop for you to prepare. Either you do it now, or you'll be overwhelmed by the first difficulty that appears. Don't wait to be in the middle of the battle to realize that you forgot your sword. Sharpen your mind from the moment you wake up. If you go out into the world with a strong mindset, nothing will be able to knock you down. 2. Live today, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Each passing day is like a coin you spend with no chance of getting it back. Some use it intentionally, others let it drop without realizing it. But in the end, the bag empties for everyone. The problem is that most act as if their reserve was infinite, postponing what is important, leaving for later what they really want to do, trusting that there will always be a tomorrow. But the reality is that time does not ask, it does not warn, and when it ends forever. Stoicism puts you in front of this truth without anesthesia. You can die at any moment. It's not pessimism, it's clarity. Seneca expressed it bluntly. While we postpone life, it escapes us. Death does not wait for you to finish your pending tasks. It does not respect your plans. It does not negotiate. Even so, many live as if they were going to be here forever, as if they had decades ahead, guaranteed. How many times have you said, "I'll do it later, when I have more time, when everything is perfect"? You think there will always be one more chance, but the truth is that you have no guarantee. If this were your last day, would you continue to postpone important conversations? Would you remain trapped in insignificant worries? Would you continue to let fear prevent you from making decisions? Stoicism does not tell you to live in fear of death, but to use its certainty to live with focus. You cannot control how much time you have left, but you can control what you do with it. If you knew that each hour is a fraction of your existence that you will never recover, you would not waste it on meaningless arguments, useless complaints, expectations that do not depend on you. You would focus on the essentials, on what is really worth it. The Stoics practiced an exercise called memento mori, which means remember that you will die. Not as a depressing idea, but as a brutal reminder that time is the most valuable resource you have. Marcus Aurelius was clear when he said, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death is lurking. While you live, while it is possible, be good." It's not about living in desperation, but with urgency, with determination, with intention. Every morning, you should ask yourself if you are using your time in the way you really want. If the answer is no, then something has to change. Don't wait for life to force you to become aware. Don't wait to lose something to value it. Don't wait to be on the brink of death to start truly living. The world is full of people who reach the end with regrets, with unfulfilled dreams, with words they never said, with fears they never overcame. Don't be one of them. Don't let fear, laziness, or doubts paralyze you. You don't have time for that. Live today, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. 3. Make the journey your destination. A man spends his entire life chasing success. He works tirelessly, sacrifices his time, postpones his happiness with the promise that someday it will all be worth it. He tells himself that when he has enough money, when he achieves the recognition he seeks, when he reaches the top, then he will finally be able to relax and enjoy. Years go by, and he finally achieves it. He reaches the exact point he had imagined, but something doesn't fit. He feels empty. He looks around and realizes that in his obsession to arrive, he never stopped to enjoy the journey. He missed moments with his family, ignored his health, set aside his daily happiness. Life slipped away in anticipation of a future that, when it finally arrived, did not give him what he expected. This is how most people live, trapped in the illusion that happiness is a goal on the horizon, when in reality, it was always in the journey. The idea that you will only be happy when you achieve certain success, when you have more money, when your life is in order, is a trap. You think you're moving forward, but in reality, you're just postponing your life. The Stoics understood that happiness is not in the destination, but in each step you take. If you don't learn to value the effort, the small triumphs, the lessons of day to day, then no goal will make you feel complete. How many times have you achieved something that you swore would change your life, only to realize that the excitement disappeared quickly and your mind was already thinking about the next thing? This is how people become slaves to their own ambition, always running, never enjoying. The only moment you truly own is this one, not the past, because it's gone, not the future, because it's not guaranteed, only the now. If your happiness depends on something you don't yet have, then you will never be free. But if you learn to enjoy the process, to find meaning in the effort, in the discipline, in each small advance, then every day is a victory. Make the journey your destination. Don't let your life become an endless list of goals without satisfaction. Don't allow yourself to reach the end of the journey and realize that you missed everything because you were too busy running. Live now. Enjoy now. Don't wait for happiness to arrive in the future, because if you don't find it in the present, you will never find it anywhere. 4. Don't carry storms that aren't yours. You're walking, and suddenly someone comes up and puts a heavy backpack on your back. You didn't ask for it, you don't need it, but there it is. The absurd thing would be to keep carrying it without questioning it, without trying to let it go. However, that's exactly what you do every day when you allow other people's problems, frustrations, and dramas to become a weight on you. Think about how many times you've felt exhausted by situations that don't even belong to you. You worry about other people's conflicts. You absorb the negativity of those around you. You get frustrated by problems you can't solve. You get caught up in conversations full of complaints, in discussions that lead nowhere, in someone else's tension. Without realizing it, you carry a weight that is not yours. Most people don't realize how much unnecessary weight they carry until it's too late. They stress about a coworker's attitude, about the opinion of a stranger on social media, about the emotional problems of a friend who does nothing to solve them. They feel responsible for others' happiness, for solving other people's conflicts, for preventing someone else from getting angry or feeling disappointed. And all of this consumes them. There's a difference between helping and carrying. Listening to someone is fine, but absorbing their distress is not. Providing support is important, but unnecessary sacrifice is not. Believing that you can fix everyone's problems is a trap that only drains you and doesn't help anyone. The world is full of storms, but not all of them are yours. Some people want to drag you into their chaos. Others look for someone to unload their frustration on. There are those who don't know how to handle their emotions and expect you to carry them. But you don't have to accept every storm that's handed to you. If someone comes to you with their drama, their negativity, or their anger, let them keep it. If you didn't generate it and you can't change it, there's no point in carrying it with you. This doesn't mean being insensitive. It means understanding that you can't carry everything without destroying yourself in the process. Help when you can, but without becoming a sponge that absorbs other people's anxiety. Learn to listen without it affecting your peace. Learn to be empathetic without allowing other people's energy to control your emotional state. When you feel like you're carrying too much weight, ask yourself a simple question. Is this really mine? If it's not, let it go. You don't have to solve problems that others don't want to solve. You don't have to let someone else's attitude ruin your day. You don't have to wear yourself out over something you can't control. Life already has enough challenges of its own without also carrying those of others. It's not about becoming indifferent, but about protecting your energy for what really matters. Learning to let go of what is not yours is an act of intelligence, self-control, and respect for your own mental peace. If a storm isn't yours, let it pass. Not all battles are worth your time. Not all problems require your attention. Not all other people's emotions should become yours. Don't carry storms that aren't yours. 5. Don't put your happiness on hold. There's always an excuse not to be happy now. Waiting for the right moment, the perfect opportunity, the day when everything is in place. Most people live believing that happiness is something that will come later, that it depends on reaching a certain goal, on circumstances changing, on life finally giving them permission to enjoy. But time keeps running, and what they're really doing is indefinitely postponing their own life. Think about how many times you've said, "I'll be happy when I have more money, when I get that job, when I'm in better shape, when I find the right person, when I have fewer worries." But the reality is that every time you reach a goal, another new one appears on the horizon, and you fall into the same trap again. Happiness never comes because you're always projecting it forward, as if it were a destination you never quite reach. The problem with this mentality is that it never allows you to feel fulfilled. You think you're moving forward, but in reality, you're stuck in an endless wait. You think you need more to be complete, but every time you achieve something, a new condition appears. This is how people spend years, decades, their entire lives, without allowing themselves to enjoy the present, because there's always something else to achieve before they can be happy. Nothing external can guarantee you happiness because it doesn't depend on what you have, but on how you choose to live. You can have everything you desire and still feel empty if your mind remains focused on what's missing. Happiness is not the prize at the end of the road. It's the way you choose to walk each day. If you can't find satisfaction in what you have now, you won't find it when you have more. Look around you. What you have today was once something you wished for with all your might. But when you got it, you got used to it and stopped valuing it. Happiness is not in accumulating more, but in learning to see with new eyes what is already in your life. It doesn't mean settling, but to stop living with the feeling that something is always missing, to be okay. Every time you think about postponing your happiness for the future, ask yourself this question: why not now? What is really preventing you from feeling at peace today? If the answer is something external, something you think you need to achieve, then you're trapped in the illusion that the future will give you something the present can't. But happiness is not something that comes to you when you meet certain requirements. It's a decision you make in this moment. Don't put your happiness on hold. Don't keep waiting for that perfect day that never comes. Don't let your life pass in a state of constant dissatisfaction. What you have now is enough to start enjoying. It doesn't mean you stop growing, that you stop striving for more, but it does mean that you don't need to wait for everything to be ideal to feel fulfilled. People die without having truly lived because they always thought happiness was in the future. Don't be one of them. Don't put your happiness on hold. 6. Let go of the rope. Stop fighting against the inevitable. There are two types of struggles in life: those that are worth it, and those that only destroy you. And yet most people invest their energy in the latter. They fight against the past, against decisions they've already made, against situations they can't change, against people who will never be as they hope. They cling to what is already beyond repair, as if stubbornness could change the inevitable. You've seen someone trying to save a relationship that is clearly broken. You've seen people bitter about mistakes they made years ago, as if punishing themselves today could correct what happened yesterday. You've seen people fighting with reality, refusing to accept that things are as they are, spending their lives in a war that makes no sense. And the most absurd thing of all is that you've done it too. Holding on to what is already beyond solution is like holding a rope that is cutting your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more damage you do to yourself. You think that staying there is an act of resistance, when in reality, it is an act of self-sabotage. And the worst part is that often, letting go is the only smart option. But fear makes you believe that if you hold on a little longer, if you keep fighting against the impossible, maybe something will change. But it won't change. What's broken is broken. What happened, happened. What doesn't depend on you, never depended on you. It's not about giving up, but understanding when a battle is no longer worth it. There are wars that are fought with courage and wars that are abandoned with wisdom. Knowing the difference between both is what separates strong people from people who just wear themselves out senselessly. The problem is that letting go is scary. It means accepting that something has ended, that there are doors that will never open again, that there are things that didn't turn out as you wanted and never will. But clinging to what has no solution will not help you recover what you lost. It will only make you lose more: time, energy, mental peace. When you find yourself fighting against something you can't change, ask yourself this question: is this fight necessary, or am I just avoiding accepting reality? If the answer is that you're still there out of habit, out of fear, out of ego, or simply because you don't want to accept the truth, then you already know what you have to do. Letting go is not losing. It's freeing yourself from a pointless war so you can focus on what really matters. It's about stopping wasting your energy on what can't be fixed and using it for what you can change. It's about closing a door firmly and without regret. Life is too short to live clinging to things that only wear you out. Learn to identify when a fight no longer makes sense and have the courage to let go of the rope. Stop fighting against the inevitable. 7. Own less, live more. Most people spend their life accumulating. More money, more clothes, more objects, more things they believe will give them security, happiness, status. But what they don't realize is that the more they own, the more they end up being owned by what they have. They become slaves to their own possessions, living in fear of losing them, worried about maintaining them, investing their time and energy in protecting what deep down will never fill the void they feel. Look around you. How many of the things you have do you really need? How many are just there because at some point you thought they would make you happier? Society tells you that the more you own, the better you will feel, that success is measured in what you have, that you need the most expensive car, the biggest house, the latest technology, the closet full of clothes you barely wear. But the reality is different. The more you accumulate, the more tied down you are. The problem is not money or things themselves, but the dependence you create on them. If you need an object to feel complete, you've already lost. If your happiness depends on something material, you're one bad streak away from losing everything. And if you think wealth is measured by the quantity of things you own, then you will never truly be rich. Think about it. What would happen if you lost everything you have? Would you still be the same person, or would you feel like you lost your identity? Would your confidence disappear along with your belongings? Most people live with the false belief that their worth is tied to what they own, when in reality, the true value is in who you are without all that. Great thinkers have always understood that true freedom is not in having more, but in needing less. When you realize that you can live with the essentials, that you don't need to prove anything to anyone, that the value of your life does not depend on what you own, that's when you truly own yourself. It doesn't matter how much money you have. What's important is that your peace of mind doesn't depend on it. Look at the richest people in the world. Not all of them are happy. Many are prisoners of their lifestyle, tied to maintaining an image, worrying about what others think, continuing to accumulate because they feel it's never enough. Meanwhile, there are people who have little and live in a peace that money can never buy. Try it. Get rid of what you don't need. Sell, donate, let go of everything that just takes up space and adds nothing to your life. You'll see that as soon as you stop carrying the unnecessary, you'll feel lighter. Fewer worries, less stress, less dependence. Ask yourself if you really need that new phone, that bigger car, that pile of things you buy to fill a void that can only be filled internally. It's not about living in poverty. It's about stopping the belief that accumulating is the key to happiness. Material things are a tool, not a purpose. The simpler your life, the freer you are. Don't let society convince you that you need more to be someone. Don't let the fear of losing what you have prevent you from truly living. If you want wealth, seek the kind that can't be bought. Time, tranquility, worthwhile relationships, experiences that nourish you, a purpose that fills you. That's the only thing that really matters. Everything else is just extra weight. Own less, live more. 8. Feed your mind as you feed your body. Your body reflects what you eat. If you fill it with junk food, excess fats and sugar, over time, it deteriorates, weakens, becomes slow, and prone to diseases. You don't expect your body to function well if you feed it with garbage. But here's the problem. Most understand this at a physical level, but never apply the same principle to their mind. They spend their time consuming useless information, valueless distractions, empty content that doesn't contribute anything. They complain that their life doesn't improve, but they don't realize that their mind is full of garbage, just like a poorly nourished body. Everything you see, hear, read, allow into your mind has an impact. Every conversation you hold, every content you consume, every news you decide to believe shapes your way of thinking. And if you fill your head with negativity, with noise, with constant distractions, what do you think will happen? You'll end up with a weak, anxious mind, unable to maintain calm or make decisions clearly. Many spend hours on social media, watching others' lives, comparing themselves, absorbing meaningless information, jumping from one stimulus to another without ever stopping to think. They feed on scandals, news designed to generate fear, empty opinions that only serve to divide and create conflict. And then they wonder why they feel lost, why they can't concentrate, why their life seems to be out of control. The answer is simple. Because what you put in your mind determines what comes out of it. If all you consume is noise, you can't expect to have clarity. If you only fill your mind with distractions, you'll never have focus. If you spend more time entertaining than learning, your growth will be null. The quality of your life depends on the quality of the information you consume. Just as you decide what foods to put on your plate, decide what information you put in your head. Fill it with content that makes you stronger, with knowledge that helps you improve, with ideas that challenge your way of thinking. Learn to distinguish between what nourishes you and what only intoxicates you. Start reading more. Not garbage, but books that teach you something, that make you think, that expand your worldview. Listen to conversations that contribute, not drain your energy. Avoid news that only seeks to manipulate you with fear and panic. Filter your environment. Surround yourself with people who elevate your mentality instead of contaminating it with complaints and mediocrity. Your mind is your most powerful tool, but if you don't take care of it, if you don't feed it well, it becomes your worst enemy. Don't allow it to be filled with noise, garbage, thoughts that don't serve you. Train it, strengthen it, feed it with what really matters. Just as you wouldn't put poison in your food, don't put poison in your mind. Feed your mind as you feed your body. 9. Indifference is your best shield. We live in a world where everything seems to be a provocation, where every word, every action, every glance from someone else can be interpreted as a personal attack, where people get offended by everything, react without thinking, and let themselves be carried away by impulses that only wear them down. But here's a truth few want to accept. Nothing has power over you unless you give it to them. Other people's opinions, their criticisms, their attacks, their attempts to make you react, all of this only affects you if you decide it affects you. If someone insults you and you react with anger, it wasn't their insult that hurt you, but your decision to give it importance. If someone ignores you and it bothers you, it's not their indifference that hurts you, but your need for approval. If a comment on social media ruins your day, the problem isn't the comment, but your attachment to what others think of you. People who let themselves be carried away by every provocation are puppets of those who know how to manipulate them. On the other hand, whoever masters indifference is untouchable, not because they don't feel, but because they choose where it's worth spending their energy, because they understand that not all attacks deserve a response, that not all criticisms are worth listening to, that not everything that happens around them deserves their attention. Look at the wisest, the strongest, those who really have control over their lives. You won't see them wasting time in pointless arguments or letting anything throw them off balance. Not because they don't care about things, but because they know that most are not worth it. Their energy is focused on what really matters. Indifference is not apathy. It's not a lack of interest in life. It's understanding that you can't spend your time or mental peace on every little provocation, on every worthless comment, on every problem that doesn't deserve your attention. It's a shield against distraction, against manipulation, against unnecessary wear and tear. Every time you feel the need to react, to defend yourself, to argue, ask yourself, is it really worth it? If the answer is no, if it won't change anything, if it will only make you lose time and energy, then the solution is simple. Ignore it. Don't give it more power than it deserves. You can't control what others do or say, but you can control how much impact you allow it to have on you. Don't be one of those who get offended by everything, who react to every provocation, who live at the mercy of others' opinions. Be one of those who choose what to focus on, who keep calm while others crumble, who understand that real strength is not in fighting every battle, but in knowing which ones are not worth it. Nothing can affect you if you don't give it permission. Indifference is your best shield.
Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment, I am Stoic as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.